Welcome to Hidden America. In our not too ancient past, the Gnostics taught about a dualistic cosmology. The material realm was simply an illusion, the realm of inversion, while the ultimate reality was the spiritual realm, or the pleroma. It was believed humanity was locked out of heaven, the pleroma, by an evil entity or divine craftsman known as the demiurge, who crafted the material realm as an energetic prison to harvest the divine energies of man, the divine spark and matter. The Gnostics believed that the material realm was strictly an illusion, a never-ending reincarnation loop. The demiurge was seen as an evil deity who was jealous of man's divine spark. The demiurge was known as the Great Archon. But there was many other negative beings who worked in conjunction with the demiurge, known as archons. It was believed there were 7 planetary archons, who in Egypt were known as the 7 governors. The 7 planetary archons were the 7 gods of Babylon. Later, they became the 7 archangels of the Hebrews and the 7 classical planets. The Gnostics believed that these planetary archons, or cosmo creators, were able to manipulate the illusion that is the material realm in order to drain humanity of Lush. Lush is the creative life force energies, the sexual creative energy. The archons were the biblical principalities of the air that were mentioned by St. Peter. In the reality of the rulers, the physical appearance of archons is described as hermaphroditic, with their faces being those of beasts. They say, records Phineas, that the soul is the food of the archons and powers without which they cannot live. The Roman Empire all but annihilated the Gnostics and erased them from his story. But even before that, Pythagoras taught that the whole air is full of souls, which are called genii, heroes, or daemons. Pythagoras believed that these spirits affected our thoughts, dreams, and even our health. Some of these daemons, which were beneficial, other malignant. Later, daemons became rebranded as demons. Russian author and mystic G.I. Gurdijeff had similar concerns, specifically about the moon. He wrote, "Humanity are like the moon's sheep, which it cleans, feeds, and shares, and keeps for its own purposes." Gurdijeff continues, "The moon is man's big enemy. We serve the moon." Maybe George Lucas was trying to tell us something with the Death Star in Star Wars, or the DreamWorks logo, which is a boy fishing from the moon. Like the Gnostics taught about the demiurge, Gurdijeff taught that the aim of the moon is not just to generate Lush, or life force energy, but to trap the soul in an endless reincarnation loop. P.D. Ouspensky, one of Gurdieff's most valuable students, agreed. Ouspensky wrote, "Everything that dies, from bacteria to man, then divides in two. One part of its organism remains on Earth and enters in Earth and produces many different effects on the surface of Earth. And the other part is attracted by the moon and feeds the moon. In short, when we die, it feeds the moon." Gurdijeff explained, "All movements, actions, and manifestations of people, animals, and plants depend upon the moon and are controlled by the moon." The moon was commonly believed to be associated with the liquids of life. These liquids of life include water, rain, the ocean, dew, sap, milk, blood, semen, menstrual fluids, and more. Not by accident, 60% of the human body is water. The moon is undoubtedly tied to the feminine menstrual cycle. The moon is also associated with the nectar of immortality, soma. Modern science tries to claim that the moon is essentially dead, but acknowledges the gravitational influence of the moon, especially on the tides. But according to Gurdijeff, the moon is actually a fragment of this Earth, which now must constantly maintain the moon's existence. Everything living on the Earth, people, animals, plants, is food for the moon. The moon is a huge living being feeding upon all that lives and grows on the Earth. According to Gurdjieff's fourth way teachings, the moon is not dead, but merely in its adolescence, in planetary terms, of course. The Earth is a mother to the moon. Gurdijeff stated clearly that the moon is a being, a younger version of the Earth, evolving and growing with the help of organic life on Earth. That organic life is influenced and manipulated to provide what the moon needs for its growth. Slowly, modern science is catching up with Gurdijeff. Science has now acknowledged that there is water on the moon in the form of ice. Modern science has even begun to agree with Gurdieff's theory the moon was created accidentally by the collision of the Earth with a comet. Now, Pliny the Elder claimed that lunar energy penetrates all things. To the ancients, the moon was the life-giving triple goddess Diana, Artemis, Isis, Hecate, Bridget, Luna, Danu, or Lilith, to name a few. Time was measured by the cycles of the moon, and the lunar calendar was often followed. The moon has been traditionally thought of as a funnel, drawing on the light of the stars and constellations and transmitting their energies to the earth in a cyclical fashion. All witches and warlocks were aware of the essential effects of the moon. Moon magic is the belief that working rituals at the time of different phases of the moon bring about physical or psychological changes. It is essential to various magical systems. Witches are constantly accused of drawing down the moon via different spells, rituals, and rites. Hence, the Latin word for the moon is luna, and this is where we get the word for irrational behavior and madness during certain phases of the moon, which we call lunacy and lunatic. The idea of the Earth-Moon matrix as a sort of energetic prison has been around for eons. The moon went from being as the life giver to the enemy of mankind. Gurdijeff stated that it is through self-remembering that it was possible for an individual to escape from becoming food for the moon. It was Plato who said all learning is remembering, all knowledge is found within. Gurdijeff taught that most human beings were mere slugs with no souls, NPCs if you will, and that following their death, their psychic energy is simply food for the moon. Like a magnet, the moon draws human souls into it at the time of death. In Etruscan mythos, the moon was the underworld. It is only through an intensive effort of conscious evolution, of self-remembering, it is possible to escape from the moon matrix. The liberation that comes with the growth of mental powers and faculties is the liberation from the moon. To escape these detrimental lunar influences, Ouspensky said we must create a moon within ourselves. Helena P. Blavatsky agreed. The moon was much more of a negative symbol than a positive one. She called the moon dead, but understood the food for the moon concept. Blavatsky writes, the moon is now the cold residual quantity, the shadow dragged after the new body into which her living powers are transfused. She is now doomed for long ages, ever pursuing the earth, to be attracted by and to attract her progeny. The moon, constantly vampirized by her child, she revenges herself on it by soaking in through and through with the nefarious, invisible, and poisonous influence which emanates from the occult side of her nature, for she is dead, but a living body. So the question remains, is the moon the positive triple moon goddess, or are we simply food for the moon? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's another absolutely fascinating topic. I want to thank each and every one of my Patreons. They are truly the reason that this is all possible. I appreciate all of the support on Twitter and Instagram. There's so many people that have supported every project that I've ever released, and I am beyond grateful. The digital and physical copies of my new book, The Cup of Hermes, A Beginner's Guide to Sexual Alchemy, is now available. Until Christmas, you can get 22% off if you use the promo code Son of God. Now make sure to follow me on all social media platforms for similar content. Like, comment, and subscribe to help spread the gnosis. Much love, guys.